How to squat with perfect technique. The squat is often referred to as the king of all lower body exercises. And as a personal trainer, I'm rarely impressed by how heavy someone can leg press, but seeing a heavy squat performed with perfect technique is always a jaw-dropping sight in the gym. That's why mastering the squat and learning how to squat heavy should be the goal for most people in the gym. The squat is an essential exercise for building muscle and building strength. And if you missed my previous video about the 10 essential exercises for strength training, I recommend going back and watching that video, as the squat was number 1 on my 10 essentials list. So in this video, let's take a deep dive into squats. And after watching this video, you will learn everything you need to know on how to perform the perfect squat. A squat is a compound movement. So it's an exercise that works multiple muscles and multiple joints. The two main joints working in this exercise are the hip and the knee. So the muscles that are worked are typically the muscles involved in stabilizing the hip and the knee. With the hips, you're going to get massive glute activation and abductors. With the knees, you're going to get quad activation. And you are going to get a bit of core and some of the spinal erectors working to help stabilize you throughout the entire movement. The two main positions of a barbell squat is high bar versus low bar. And depending on which one you choose, will change the hip angle and will influence which muscles you want to target more. Low bar is where you place the bar lower on your back, more towards your rear delt, as opposed to high bar is when you place the bar on your upper traps. I personally prefer the low bar squat, and this is the squat I feel most comfortable with, which is more similar to powerlifters. The low bar position favors more of a hip hinge and works the glute more, minimizing less quads. If your goal is to squat the most amount of weight while getting huge glute involvement and minimizing the quads, the low bar back squat is the squat for you. If you want to maximize more quad growth and get a greater range of motion, especially in the bottom position, then the high bar squat may be for you. The high bar position is also more favorable for those who squat with a narrower stance while squatting, and high bar imitates the Olympic lifting style. So low bar is followed by more power lifters, high bar is more Olympic lifters. But a good program incorporates both. Although I do low bar the majority of the time, occasionally I like to throw in some high bar and use it as accessory work to build my overall squat technique. My advice to you when it comes to strength training is to never get stuck on a single exercise. Variation is important, especially if you want progress. So now that we've gone through high bar versus low bar, and you've chosen your preferred stance, before you even load the bar with weights, you have to look at your foot position. Your foot position is the foundation of a good squat technique. As a general rule, which covers most people, you should start with your feet about hip width apart, meaning your foot should be directly under your hips, not too wide, not too narrow. Once you find your perfect foot position, have a slight external rotation. So point your toes out between 10 and 30 degrees. And if we move up, your knees should be pointing in the same direction as the toes. Once you have the stance and knee position, you want to implement what we like to call a tripod stance, where you have 3 points touching the ground at all times. Your heel, your big toe, and your pinky toe, creating a tripod stance. This will ensure that you're getting proper foot balance and an even weight distribution. So you're not pushing onto your toes, you're not just pushing onto your heels, you're getting an even stance. If you have to use your tippy toes to unrack, the bar is too high. If you have to squat even lower, then the bar is obviously too low. But keeping the bar height in armpit length is the best position for squatting and for safety. You should have your hands as close as shoulder mobility allows. Keep your head in the center of the bar, not to the left, not to the right. And once you find your position, you want to pull the bar into your back, squeezing your shoulder blades together, making a sturdy shelf for the bar to sit on. The more tightness you can create with your shoulder blades and the bar, the more stable the squat is going to be throughout the entire movement. So find a hand position, step under the bar with both feet, position high or low bar, whatever you prefer. Take a big breath in, unracking the bar. Take a maximum of 3 steps backwards. There's no need to take any more. You're just increasing the chances of falling and instability. 1 step out, the 2nd step out, and the 3rd step to get into the right foot position. So we're going to break down the actual squat technique into 3 phases. The descent, the bottom position, and the ascent, the push off the floor. Once we're in your squat position, you want to take a big breath in and breathe the air into your diaphragm, keeping the core braced. Then you want to simultaneously drop the hips and drop the knees and control your descent to the bottom position. Like most exercises, it makes sense to practice a little bit of eccentric control. So a good squat could be 2 seconds on the way down. Once you hit that bottom position, this is the hardest position of the entire squat. So it's very important to brace your core as hard as you can in this bottom position. So I hold my breath throughout the entire movement. I only exhale when I'm out of the hold and 2/3 on the ascent. The minimum squat depth you should be aiming for is being parallel to the floor, where your hip and knee line is parallel to the floor. Anything lower is even better. A great squat has your hips slightly lower than your knees. And this is also going to maximize the full range of motion of the glutes and the quads. To get out of that bottom position, you want to push your feet into the floor, driving up as fast as possible. And at the top, we want to pause for a second, reset our breath, and rinse and repeat. Throughout the entire movement, I'm looking straight ahead. I'm not looking down, I'm not looking up, I'm keeping my eyes level with the horizon. Because wherever you look, your body is going to follow. So if you are someone who struggles to hit depth, okay, you're probably lacking a bit of ankle mobility. And a common fix for improving your range of motion in the squat is squatting with a slight heel elevation, okay? So this could be on a plate, or you can invest in some squat shoes like Nike Remelios. The elevated heel position increases the ankle mobility and allows for a greater range of motion. You can invest $200 to $300 on expensive Nike squatting shoes, or you could just squat with a heel elevated plate. It's entirely up to you. Due to their technical aspect, it's hard to perform squats, so it doesn't make sense to hit them in excessively high rep range. Because they're so fatiguing, the high rep range will only reduce the quality of each rep and increase the chances of injury. There's plenty of exercises that you can hit your lower body with high reps, and squats isn't one of them. You could do lunges, you could do split squats, etc. As a general rule, the best range to train squats is in between the 3 to 20 rep range. Although personally, I've never performed squats higher than 12 repetitions. So I like to work between the 3 to 12 rep range. Like all exercises, I would highly recommend training them in various rep ranges through different phases. So what I like to do is go through phases, work in a high rep range where I'm working the squats for 8 to 12, then I progress into more strength zone, 3 to 5, and then maybe I'll test my squat working in the 1 to 3 rep ranges. And if you can't squat with a barbell yet, this should be your main goal. But a simple progression is obviously getting comfortable with body weight, then loading it up with a dumbbell in a goblet squat and continually increasing the weight until you can't hold the dumbbell anymore. So it just makes sense to load it up with a bar. And then the next progression from here would be a barbell box squat, where you simply place a box or a block behind you while you're squatting, and you squat with normal technique, lower yourself with control until your butt hits the box or the bench and you shoot back up. Okay, so this is going to allow you to get comfortable with squatting with a barbell on your back, and it's also going to teach you how to hit depth. You can progress this by getting a lower box or a block each time, and eventually you remove the box, and eventually you get comfortable with squatting with just the barbell only. But this is a natural progression for someone who's never squatted before. Dumbbells, box squats, remove the box, squatting with just a regular barbell. And someone might be able to squat straight away with a barbell, and that's fine. And you might not be able to squat it. That's fine too, okay? Everyone's different. Work at your level, work at your capacity, and follow these natural progressions. But one thing I would recommend is getting the technique down first. So once you have the technique, the strength, the progressions will come naturally. So technique is very important. It's the most essential thing with strength training. So guys, if you're looking for the perfect 3-day program that incorporates squats among other essential exercises, then I have something for you. It's called the 3-Hour Physique. So it's a 12-week program, full body, working out 3 times a week for 45 minutes to an hour, incorporating all the big compound movements. You'll have everything from the sets, the rep ranges, instructional videos with a 3-phased workout, meaning that it's going to change every 4 weeks to ensure that you progress throughout the whole 12 weeks, guys. So this is the program that I'm currently doing. If you want it, just click the link below and you can get access to the 3-Hour Physique. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If it helped you and it made you feel more confident in the gym and more confident squatting, let me know in the comments. Please like, please comment, please share, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I appreciate it.